Welcome back to the actual question and answer session with Execute and Star Jump Grim. We did a bonus episode because Grim and Execute wanted to talk about the silhouette ships from CitizenCon, and that ended up being its own entire thing that we did for an hour, which is awesome. So if you want to see that episode, it'll be right above Execute's head. So this is the actual After Dark section. I may actually record a little bit of just me talking, be like, hey, this was intended to be something else, and now it's a bonus episode.
Told you. I jacked.
But let's jump into it.
I am the captain now.
Yeah. Let's jump into the questions now. Just to know, our bot is broken, so I'm gonna have to pull these out manually. So the first question is from Kellox, who asks, component bay / engineering in the Perseus, where? I think I've seen it before.
It's component bay, cargo bay. It's the lift that comes up into it.
I think so, yeah.
Me and Agrid did a massive deep dive on this. We've already recorded. It's been sitting there for a couple of weeks. We have to put episodes into the bank because I'm going to the Philippines. So it's in the bank.
There's also an engineering. Yeah. There's an engineering section towards the rear as well.
If you bring up the Star System Tools wiki, that has the 3 images that you want that have the 3 layers. That's the one you want to bring up, Paul, if you're looking for a website. Star System Tools Perseus.
Where is it?
The Star System Tools in the Perseus. Scroll down to the bottom and you have all the images, and you just want to scale through the images till you get the one that have the
official interior.
Sections.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it has the bottom, the middle, and then the top, and you flick between the top 2.
Yeah, I'll show this.
A walkway that goes completely across the.
They definitely have room for components in this ship. It's just the mouth for engineering game.
So that's the top. This is the middle.
That's the gangplank that goes across the cargo bay.
Yeah. And this is the cargo bay.
And then you go down.
And then this is probably components in this here because that's an elevator and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that's the docking bay. Yeah.
And that's an elevator that goes all the way to the ground and it fits an Ursa.
Yeah.
That docking bay is not there anymore, and I think we can use the monthly report image to prove that. And it was Grim that pointed it out to me. So, Grim, do you want to talk about that bit? You can pull up the monthly report image, Paul, from the one that has the Perseus on it.
Is that the one at the top of the Perseus?
That is correct. That is correct.
Well, that or they've just given it an extra airlock, but it's definitely got an airlock now on the bridge level of the ship.
Zoom in hands, please. Zoom in hands.
One thing I will say is it does look like possibly more of an EVA door.
Hatch.
On the left. No. On the left, it literally says airlock on the next. No, go to the left. That's to the right. How are you a teacher and going to the right? It's on the left.
I don't see it. This is as far as it goes. So
it's right in front of that first window there up on the bridge level, like the side window.
No. Next to the right. To the right. No, that's to the left. That one there.
Oh, it says airlock. Yeah.
Airlock.
Yeah.
So. It may not necessarily negate the other airlock. That may be actually a docking collar, but at least we do know we have an actual EVA airlock door that's been added that was not in the original concept.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Actually, true. Based on size, it could just be a personal internet.
Yeah, because if you look at the scale of this gun, and that's usually about the size of a person. That's a little bit bigger than a person, but
you've also got the escape pods there on the right, and then there's 2 more further escape pods along the outside.
And let me
No, the escape pods are the big black thing that you thought was the airlock to start with.
Yeah, but let me also show you with the bridge. So like we have there's no area here for escape pods.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just the gun.
But there is a docking. Isn't that a docking collar there, but on the other side?
This is an EVA hatch.
I think that is the EVA hatch, but they've called it an airlock.
Yeah. And it could also be an elevator because if you go down, you see that it's preserved through that. It looks like an elevator.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. So there's something I've learned. Yeah,
so it could be a combination EVA airlock and but someone who's ever asking for the components, there's also these areas over here which could have components. There's just plenty of places. So.
Agrid went really in deep on the components. The components are almost exactly a copy of the Connie, which doesn't make any sense because it has power problems itself, and this thing is bigger and it's got these massive guns on it that the components have to be upgraded. Yeah. And I think that's probably why the guns got upgraded as well. If the rumors are true.
Yeah.
I still don't think they're true, but we'll see. We've heard nothing.
We'll see.
All right, next question comes from.
Well, the reason I think they could go to size 8, Paul, is because they're bespoke. And when you get
That's
bespoke
true.
weapons, they tend to go up in size.
Yeah. Or they can be down in size, like the Slayer, which is a size 5, but it hits like a size 6. So, but it's just so it could be a size 7, just hits like a size 8.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's always important to remember that anything you hear from a Chinese bar citizen or Chinese sources is got to be translated from English into Chinese and from Chinese back to English. And if anyone's tried to do that before, it gets weird.
Yeah.
There's a literal game around it called Chinese Whispers.
Yes. So Scissor Fuzz asks, in SCL, they mentioned there's a lot of ships for November. What's the normal pattern that month, and how many more do you think they'll be adding? We talked about that. It's 3 usually, right? It's
Usually.
a small or a starter, a medium, and a large. Typically, one of those is a concept ship, but there are no concept ships this year. So,
and they like to do a vehicle traditionally now too at the at Invictus and AIE. We've seen vehicles.
They did kind of break that mold this past Invictus. I think we had 4 that went straight to flyable, drivable, maybe more. It was something like that. But I remember it being sort of like, oh wow, there's a lie here.
I think that's because there was no patch in March or April. There was like, I think it was April. There was no patch one. We've had 7 patches in the last 8 months. So that there's like the one right before Invictus that we didn't have a patch because they were doing Invictus. So that's why I think we may not have a patch. I thought we might not have a patch in August or September because they could skip it and then build up the momentum for October, November. But yeah. All right. Next question comes from Workberg. 600i rework. How should I best cope with the rework not coming anytime soon?
That's why they did the rework so you could cope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's exactly like John said in the SCL. If they redo that ship, they're literally not doing a ship that would actually add more to the game. And if you can put yourself aside, like that you own it, I would much rather have a new ship that I've never seen before with new functionality and all that than just a reworked one that we have, no matter what ship it was.
And let's be fair here to the CIG ship team here. Rework is a generous term. It's pretty much a new ship on the inside.
Yeah.
And it's not a small ship. The 600i is a pretty big ship, and we're talking 2 variants. So there's actually quite a bit of work there. So
and if
it's not just a small thing.
And if they're doing the 600i rework, then they're not doing the Galaxy or the Arastra or the bigger ships, because that's how much team would take up to do that. So.
And as a creative person, would you rather like forge your own path or redo someone else's stuff?
Yeah. Right.
No artist I've ever met enjoys like, outside of collaborating with somebody, but that was like usually a plan, enjoys picking up other people's scraps. Most artists don't want to like use somebody else's like blueprint to be able to fix up their own stuff unless they 100% were doing that in the first place.
It's different doing a new ship that's like in a mold of going from like doing a Galaxy or a Perseus, because you are still forging new things, but you're stylizing it to fit. So that's actually a creative kind of collab there in a weird way.
And Origin's in a little bit of a weird place too. In John sort of alluded to this. Yes, the G12 needs to be done. And after that, their line is kind of done. Now they're going to make more Origin ships, of course. But where I'm going with this is Origin as a manufacturer, they don't really, there's a lot of gameplay loops they don't tie into. Like, you're not going to have an Origin salvager, or anything like that. So there, until some of these gameplay loops, like maybe passenger transport and stuff like that, come online, there's not a lot to do with Origin now. You know what I mean?
They're the most AI tied in manufacturer, I think, in the entire game.
Yeah. So I understand but even put that aside, there's already a lot of Origin ships. So for them to cycle back to Origin, it's kind of like, okay, what else are you pulling out of your hat with Origin at this stage?
Let me put it this way, and I think this is a really good way to put it. We now have it confirmed twice that the Kruger is another high-end manufacturer like Origin. Would you rather, as a 600i owner, this is your cope, right? I'm giving you a cope. Would you rather a 600i or would you rather a Kruger 600i? That's what you got to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And I think you would agree you would rather a Kruger 600i than an Origin 600i at this point, already having the Origin one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's how you need to look at it.
Every ship is going to eventually be somewhat redundanted out because that's how CIG is working. But
yeah, agreed.
someone asked, do you think they're going to sell game packages like the Idris kits for the Perseus?
He did, but I've talked him out of it. I don't know. I could be wrong.
We could see it, but
Well,
I think
I can see it, but I don't
ammo.
think it's a priority.
It's ammo. It's better for them to focus on the ammo types.
That's what changed my mind, which I think I changed his mind, but I could be wrong.
And I think some of the additional customization there is going to be through maybe some of the PDC or turret options. We know another new PDC type is coming. So,
and I think they're deciding to put more things in game because of the things that we've said about kits. Like, because the thing I also said to you was like, where is it for the Polaris then?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. No, I don't. I also agree with Grim though that I don't think that doesn't mean we're not getting kits in the future. I just think they're using them in certain places. Like, and when I think about it, it tends to be ships over $1,000. I think it's that money laundering law. You can't just all of a sudden make a ship that was unlimited, and sell shitloads of it. It doesn't work. They can't do that because of the money laundering rules.
Yeah.
But legal reasons. But what they can do is sell pretty much unlimited kits.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're under $1,000. So you're essentially going, hey, over all these years, you guys brought thousands and thousands of spaceships, but now we can resell to you and go, hey, do you want to buy an upgrade?
Yeah.
Do you want to add to that shit that you've already got? And that's why we saw so many kits come out with Idris, because it's a way to just get a shitload of. I can't imagine how much. Well, again, I guess we could go back and look. But I reckon they made a lot when that Idris dropped off people that already had an Idris going, I can just get these weapons on my ship already. Bang, I'll do that. I know Algid brought both of them. The two that he didn't have, he just went out and brought both. And this guy is a madman. He had a P. I think he's got multiple P's and multiple M's.
Yeah.
And he went out and brought the T's and the K's. And he brought the whole fucking thing. He has everything.
All right, let's move on because we've got a little
smile,
bit more.
Grim. Hey, Grim, smile. Smile, Grim. Yeah, there we go.
Flip that.
All right, Commander. Okay, let's go with Delinar asks, considering CIG's decision to pull the Idris out of the Best in Show, will the Idris be the first ship to not on the IAE show floor you can rent, or the first ship that won't be on the show floor? Do you think they could be a sign of the future capital ships like the Pioneer and the Kraken? I don't think you're going to be renting the Idris. I don't think they'll let you rent the Idris. It's just I don't think it's a CIG is trying to pinch money. I think it's if you could rent the Idris for free, 600 people would rent it, and the servers would burn.
It brings up an interesting question though for the future. I personally think certain ships won't be rentable, like the Pioneer, because it brings up an interesting thing.
How'd you rent a
If
Pioneer?
If you could rent the Pioneer, you can essentially then unlock space stations with simply a rental. And I wonder if CIG will try to gatekeep that a little bit through the Pioneer and maybe what other future ship can do the supply bay. But it would be weird if like you just rented the ship for a few days to get your supply bay started, and while that's still being built, your rental is over on the Pioneer.
It's a little bit further than that though, because you also need things on the ground to support the station.
Right. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see where CIG goes with that.
Yeah, they heavily alluded you need the base on the ground to feed the station in orbit. They heavily implied that, but
I also,
but I'm more okay with it in a situation where it's more like, hey, you and your org, you've been gathering up all this stuff for months and months and months. You have this huge shipment you need to make, and you rent a Hull E. You know what I mean, and load it up. I'm more okay with that. But there's certain ships that I think you do maybe have to take a look at and go, is temporary rental the right fit for them?
Yeah, I think they'll definitely. The reason why we can rent all the ships at IAE or and Invictus that they have available is it's just more of a promo for CIG to be able to show off those ships for new players who may not be there. But like, does a new player need a Pioneer or an Idris to experience those same gameplays? No, because they'll have the build will be might be available to rent, so players can run around. New players can run around and try out a build, or what is it, the CSV, they could rent that and do that for like they build a small outpost to be like, oh, I can build a little outpost. So like there are certain things you need to do for those events, but generally the like rentals are probably going to be very strategic and be more along the lines of what you have rentals today in real life, which is for certain things like box trucks you can rent,
Right.
so
And you can extrapolate that to make sense in lore very easily, as Paul's saying. Like it makes no sense that
Agreed.
you'd be able to rent a javelin. It's a
yeah.
military destroyer. It
Mhm.
doesn't. But even you could even hide that behind lore on even some of the bigger industrial ships, and that
Mm.
you have to have some sort of rating, to be able to. Which that's kind of interesting thought too. Maybe like in the future game when you can earn certain ratings in certain professions and stuff, maybe that does unlock more extravagant rentals in
Mhm.
that particular field.
through those
So
specific groups because you have to go to a kiosk with that
yeah,
group and
exactly.
then
Like you get up enough you get up enough rep with the industrial guild, you eventually can rent a pioneer. I'd be cool with that. I'd be fine with something like that.
Yeah.
I actually think that that's what'll actually happen. They'll divvy out those rental terminals
Yeah.
to like especially the higher end stuff will all go into rep grind. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Commander Shadowstalker says, since CIG has mentioned modularity more than once this year, in an ideal setting, how do you captains think that should look like? I think there's two ways of looking at it. I think what a lot of people think is modularity is also kit now,
Mhm.
because like it's the return of the buck. It's the return of the beefuck, which CIG refuses to call it the beefuck because we all called it the beefuck because it's a battlefield upgrade kit, even though Battlefield is all one. But for those of you who don't know the Bucks were a idea which was effectively modularity for the Vanguard that they
Vanguard,
dropped because it was
Because they realized they could sell the individual variants to make more money.
yes. Well, also it was just
Basically.
as you found out, it's just like it was basically an individual variant, but you'd have to have the exterior of all of them, so it wouldn't be because they had what they have 4 variants.
Now they do, yeah, with the
4.
hoplite, yeah.
Originally it was 3, but instead of having 3 variants, the way their modularity works, they would have to have 9 variants or more because you'd have to each module would have to work with each chassis, and all the chassis were different. So it wasn't like a because you'd have to have this chassis and this interior with this ship, which is different from because they're all slightly different from each other, and that doesn't really work.
Interesting history there too. If we go back to when we were talking about the Gladiator, the same thing that happened to the Gladiator happened to the Hoplite. The Hoplite turned into the Valkyrie.
Yeah, yeah, it happens a lot for a lot of ships. The only one that hasn't had that
Just get
problem.
left dead.
The only ship that hasn't what happened was the Hoplite turned into the Redeemer, and then the Redeemer turned into the Valkyrie.
Technically, yes, technically correct. Yes.
Yeah. So, which is why the Redeemer was abandoned. Same reason. That's why they got the Paladin. But
they were learning though. They were all learning experiences. That's
yeah.
It's all R&D. I keep saying that, but
so how their upgrade kits or how the modularity works is every time you add a module, it's its own variant. So you'd have to have a Harbinger that was also a Warden, and a Warden that was also a Harbinger. So that's 4 variants rather than 2. So you'd have to double the amount of memory that's being used for each of them. And so while it's not a huge amount, you start getting into sizes where it's like effectively 3 ships cost 9 ships in memory, and it's like no.
So, but before they did modules, the way John explained it to me and in our grid is you actually had to make every single variant that was totally possible. So to make it based on the Caterpillar, he literally said that there'd have to be like 235 versions currently based on the modules they have internally planned for that thing. But if they build a modular system, you can just switch them all over and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So they're working on a system that's going to fix that.
If you look at the Apollo, like, no, we don't know that the modular system is currently in, but again, they said they got it working on the Retaliator, so I'll take them at their word. So you can just switch over those 6 modules. But previously, what that would have done is if it had gone into the game, there would have been 12 variants of the Apollo, because there would have been 6 for the triage and 6 for the manibag.
So maybe we'll see the Bucks still work because they did sell them, but they haven't sold them sets. They stopped selling
Yeah.
them, just like the Retaliator modules. They stopped selling them for a long time, and they haven't talked about them since then. So, but what they did do is they allowed that if you had the buck, you could swap out all of the weapons for the Harbinger, except for the torpedo, with the warden. So like they're interchangeable, which is why we had those. So I think it's important to note that there is the kit now, which is effectively what we've seen with a lot of different things, which was that buck weapon kit. And then there's also the modularity. So those are two different things. There are going to be plenty of things which are a kit where you can swap out this gun for another, and then in cases where or this item for another, and in cases where it makes more sense for them to do a version like a modular, they'll do a modularity. So they'll have.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think as a side note, probably from onboarding, modules would be a really good onboarding task, actually, if you think about it. You don't have to do a full ship. You get to do a bit of the interior, but it's not a full interior, so it doesn't take all this extra time, but you get a taste for it, and you've got reference of other modules that are already in that ship. And you're working to a metrics. So it teaches you a lot of things. I'm wondering if that's what spurred it on besides just the Apollo.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Because then you'd have to make all these side grade variant bullshit. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
What do you think, Grim? The question about modularity. Where do you think they're going to go with that?
Modularity is one that I've always felt like CIG. It feels like they have it there. John Crew just reconfirmed that it works and is kind of doing what it's supposed to be doing. It just still seems like something that they don't fully like dive in and commit to, because variants are still a thing, very much a thing, and they could technically be modules or even kits. And we got the Retaliator. I remember when the Retaliator was coming out. I remember there was a lot of people, including myself, was like, "Oh boy, get ready! The ships that have modules are coming." You know what I mean? And then we didn't get any of them. And now the Apollo, I think, is the next ship we're getting, and it's been about a year, I think, since the Retaliator rework, maybe somewhere around there. So it's just like it's just like little drops of modularity here. I personally am not anticipating them tackling the Galaxy after the Perseus. I think they're going to wait on that a bit, at least my own thinking. And it just, again, it just seems like the modularity. It's cool, it works, and everything. Like it just seems like CIG isn't like fully behind the idea, but yet they are because they keep coming up with modular ships. So I don't know. I don't know.
Just to that point, really quickly, I think the build confirms your suspicions.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because they would have just made it. They just made it a module swap out for.
Yeah. Why build the Galaxy? You really needed the Galaxy for base building. Refining doesn't give you shit. Cargo doesn't give a shit. The medical doesn't give a shit. So what do you get out of it? Well, basically, you've got the build, so you don't need the freaking Galaxy anymore.
Yeah, I think that was its original idea too.
Yeah. It's one of those questions I would love if you had like John Crew with a few pints in them. Like you'd love to ask him, do you really want modular ships, or do you prefer ships that are variants? Like I would love to know the answer there.
I can talk to a little bit of, it's just tools. There's a lot of tools that they don't have because so many people are working on Squadron and getting that door. They just can't take people off that to build tools. One of the citizen bar citizens, I sat with Elliot and a table of other devs, and I just talked to Elliot most of the night.
Yeah.
And the biggest issue, he gets a lot of flack back, right?
Mhm.
But one of those things is that he can only build with the tools that he has, and there are just tools that he's missing, so he can't do what he needs to do.
One of those,
and that became really clear when I talked to more and more devs that a lot of the stuff they can't do is just because the tools are not there. And again, when you've only got 6 chefs, so to speak, you can only make a certain number of things, so you can't just. You've got to prioritize shit, and let's be honest, the priority has to be Squadron 42.
And while not modularity, who knows when the command module feature is developed by the features team and the ship team gets a hold of it, maybe they'll get creative, and suddenly there's another ship that not a Drake ship, but some other ship that has a command module type thing. I don't know, but
here's a real
with
simple
modules, that's where I'm at. I just don't know where CIG's thinking is with them in terms of
to add
commitment.
to what you just said there. Doing command modules, does that also give you escape pods?
It is escape pod. That is what it's supposed to be.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So could we actually all of a sudden see a mission where you're on a ship and shit's going crazy and you eject and you land and then there's a survival element and you can see like it does as you're saying. I'm just agreeing with you, by the way.
And the CIG doesn't do tools.
For sure.
They don't do tools just to do one ship. Like if they're doing the command module functionality, it's going to be used for other things. And I agree. I think
well,
there just hasn't been. Yeah.
Pissed off Pete found out that the Titan suit is technically a human because they were able to hit it with a med pen and it repaired it.
Yeah.
So they essentially just took the human thing that they have and turned it into a vehicle.
Yeah, I think they're listed in the game files as like a humanoid entity or something like that. But yeah, we looked. Yeah, it's like a. But yeah, that's where I'm sitting with modules.
With your point, Grim, I think is that modules just they seem to. It seemed like initially they came up with the idea of modularity, so they didn't have to do as much work for variants. The idea of modular modules was we can do this, and we can only just do the small section, and it won't take as much time as variants. So we can do one ship and then work on a bunch of variants. We can sell them for a cheaper price, but we can do them twice as fast. And then they started working on them. They're like, this is awful. It takes us as long a time to build a module as it does to take a variant. So let's just work on variants. This doesn't make any sense. So
Algon got this confirmed as well. So basically, there is an order to things. So basically, fully modular is the lowest of the forms. Then you go to a variant. Then you go to a niche. They're the kind of quality levels. So a variant will always be better than a modular version.
Yeah, because it's just probably easier for them to build a variant, because if you're building a variant, you may need to break the model a little bit and change it around a little bit, and that gives the artist a lot more freedom. Like if you look at the Taurus is a Connie, but it's a bigger Connie, so you got a little bit more stuff there.
Yeah, because you could extrapolate. You could extrapolate this to a lot of things, like the Zeus, for example, with the exception of the CL, because I know they extended the cargo area. But like the Zeus, technically, the MR, the ES, and maybe even the future ST, I feel like those could probably just be a module. But again, there's styling differences and other things that go into it as well.
Do you get the kitchen appliance that does 76 different things, or do you get the tool that just does one thing really, really well? Like there are drawbacks and cons to both. And
I will say this. I haven't, just making sure I'm correct here. I don't think I've bought a ship because of modularity, personally. Just my own personal thing yet. Only because I feel like it's still sort of unrealized. Does that make sense?
The only one was the Caterpillar. And I've held on to the Caterpillar for I should have left it behind ages ago, but I've held on to it because I just had this thing. I want to know what those bloody modules are, and they've never told me, and I want to know. And I've just sat, and I've also got a very rare version. I've got a pirate edition with LTI, like rare as hen's teeth.
I will say, just based off something C Daddy said in chat, though, and I said this the other day on the
what did he link now?
Stream.
What did he?
He's just talking about the medical beds modules for the Apollo. I will say that I think it was really good, a really great decision for CIG to just include all the modules with your Apollo SKU.
Agreed.
I think because they could have easily monetized that, and I think that is so. Hats off to CIG for that decision. I think that's really solid.
Actually, see, Daddy, where I got you here. I'm just going to ask flat out: can we get a response on why they've just never told us what the modules are for the Caterpillar?
He wouldn't know.
It's been over.
He works
no. I want him to pass that message along. Can we get a response back? Yeah, and if they say no, go fuck yourselves, that's fine. But I just want to know why they've never told us. Don't even know what they are. I just want to know why we've never been told. Because wouldn't it increase sales?
We've seen.
They do go over some of them in that one early video.
It's 2016.
Yeah.
Been almost a decade since we've heard anything.
Excuse that was 37 years ago,
yeah.
Grim.
Yeah.
I was a sperm when that happened, okay? God damn it.
Your daughter wasn't even here, bro. Like Ship Showdown's older than your daughter. Come on, have some respect.
You are right. If I knew what the modules were for the Caterpillar and what the plan was, I would probably buy one.
Yeah.
I don't have one right now.
Why would I ever hold on to a Caterpillar when I've got the ironclad right there that just looks so much better in just the cargo department? What you now need to convince me to hold on to my Caterpillar? Why am I holding on to it?
The Ironclad has a much better ass too. So let's
Yeah,
be honest.
yeah. So I, I don't want to shit on your ships, but freaking tell me why I'm holding onto this thing.
Yeah,
Why have I held onto it for so long?
I get it. I
And
don't know.
I think if someone that's held onto it so long, I think I know people caring about the Banner Management. Don't worry, I have one of those since the original day they came out, so I can complain there too. But my thing is, the Caterpillar is a pretty old ship too. It's about the same age as the Banner Management, and
Well,
I don't have any responses to that.
yeah. The funny thing is the Caterpillar is truly the baby Endeavor. It has all the same feature
Yep.
sets.
Mhm.
Command module separation,
Yep.
multiple module like
Accessibility.
the ability to do
Hmm.
multiple modules that can change and variant across the however many modules you get applied. So it's very much an Endeavor. So probably a long way
My
off.
Praise
my
be
answer.
he who who lives in shadow, the Endeavor.
Mm.
May he ever reign.
Alter the Endeavor. But no, long story short, I think the answer is they don't know. That's why I think they've never given us an answer, because they don't know. I think there's so many problems with that ship that they've just kind of
I mean,
gone into
let
ironclads.
me put it this
and-
way: there is no components in the Caterpillar. There is no.
Yep.
There is a place to put the components, but there's a gigantic C diesel engine there,
Mhm.
which
Well,
made sense for the time when it was originally built, but
and
now
you
makes
do
no
know
sense.
Each module is actually meant to have its own separate component, so when they separate them out in space, they last for a while.
Yeah.
and let's say this to tangent back to the original question though about modules, just using the Caterpillar as our discussion point. The Caterpillar to me is like indicative of why I don't think I buy ships based off their modularity, because with the Caterpillar, the Endeavor, and even the
Mm.
Galaxy now, you get this feeling that okay, that ship's not going into production until all those modules gameplay loops are in the game.
Yeah.
And though, so you go, well, no, it's good. It's years away. Same thing with the Galaxy. I'm very excited by the Galaxy, but like shipboard refinery is not in the game yet. Refinery gameplay is, but not ship
Yep.
based. And
Yep.
so I'm immediately I'm like, oh, that's going to be a
Yep.
while then. You know what I mean?
E-
It may not be, but
Endeavor
that's where my brain goes.
Endeavor is the reason why they've probably never sold modules for the Caterpillar.
Yeah. Well, because the funny thing is that the Endeavor lore
Yeah.
came after they had built the Endeavor, and we know
Yeah.
so, and it always reflects what actually happened inside CIG, and the lore of the Endeavor is the team that built the Hull series and the team that built the Starfarer came together, and they couldn't agree on what the hell they wanted to make, so they decided to make it modular. So that tells me that Chris and the teams and John and the teams who came together to look at the Endeavor could not fucking agree on what that ship was going to be. So they ended up just saying, "Fuck it, let's make it modular and see if we can make that work."
Yeah.
And that means that it's not a priority because they're just like they don't know what it is. You know?
And I personally don't think we will get another Endeavor.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think they're
No,
planning on
nothing.
doing that ever again.
It's too complex. It's too big.
Yeah.
It does too much. It's one of the reasons we push it so much, because like it'll never happen again.
It's
And it's just this giant
$350, and
albatross.
it's going to be the last ship ever CIG ever makes. But it's a $350 now for a ship that's likely going to be the do-all ship of the game.
It's
John Cruz said it was before his time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
it's a Swiss Army nuke is what it is.
Yeah.
Just because it's
So-
bigger than a knife. So yeah. Swiss Army
So
nuke.
back to that modular question, I would say that it's like just based off some of the ships that I've personally seen sitting there for years, I just don't have a lot of confidence in modularity myself. I would like to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but that's kind of where my currently thinking is.
Modularity for us though is really just the same thing for them, but they just lock variants in. So I think it's there. I don't think there's any argument about whether it'll work or not. And it's literally you just the other gameplay restraints was like, so let's take the Redeemer for example, right? You land the Redeemer in your hangar and then you've got to switch it over, and how long does that process take? Do they actually have all the little people wheel out and pull all the fucking modules
We
out,
know that's
or
not
is it
going to
just
happen.
like
It lowers
that's
down.
what I'm saying. Or does it just lower down and pops back up? Oh, surprise, motherfucker! I'm switched. Like,
but when it does that, it's probably gonna have a timer to it, and then you also gotta think about. Then you also there's also gameplay, because like if you think about it in terms of like the Retaliator, all of the Retaliator's modules are stuff that are in game now. Drop sheet seats and a living module.
Yep.
So all of those are in game, but they still haven't gotten them out. So it shows you like it's just not a priority.
It's a priority.
Maybe
it's priority. They get
I mean,
nothing out of it.
maybe I'm completely wrong. Obviously, I'm being a little pessimistic here, but maybe I'm completely wrong. But honestly, after the Apollo, for all we know, the next modular ship to come into the game could be the damn Javelin
Yeah.
late next
Uh,
year or
uh,
something because we don't, you
uh,
just don't, I don't know which ones are even on the drawing board or, or in
Yeah.
production.
Let's go
Let
with
me
it.
float this. Galaxy dies, they do the build, and they move the modularity to the Apollo.
Maybe, but I think the Galaxy is still the plan, but it's become less of a plan.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
The original plan was let's do both modules and the Mandalorian work in the
do
Galaxy.
you think they got all
and they've
hyped
gone-
up? They got hyped up on hype juice because they got the Retaliator to work, and they're like, let's do another one. Let's do the Galaxy, and then they all were like, oh,
Yeah.
now we remember why modularity is not fucking fun. Oh God.
Yeah.
I think that could be it. So, all right. Let's
Well,
move.
it also shows why they're a year apart because the build was ready for last year,
Mhm.
and the Apollo's not ready until now.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Trouble Magnet asks, should characters automatically? Oh wait, nope, that's a different one. There's a lot of questions about the modulator. There's one was talking about with modulator being talked about and working with them working on the Ironclad. Will we see updates to the Caterpillar? We've already answered that question. We talked asks if I recall correctly, the Javelin is supposed to be modular. So how much do you assume the battle cruiser could be or should be modular? Because it's first mentioned the battle cruiser. But I will say this: the lore references gameplay and gameplay intent. So the lore team wrote about the Javelin that the Javelin's designed to be modular because it was designed to be flexible and fast. A battle cruiser, by definition, is not flexible nor fast. It is big and mean. Yeah. It is faster than a battleship, but it is still big and mean to go there and punch things. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see modularity with their supposed battle cruiser. So no.
Yeah.
Same.
And then, all right. So now the battle cruiser. There's a ton of questions about the battle cruiser. Your thoughts on them mentioning the possible battle cruiser in the future? I'll start with you.
Caveat this?
X.
Can we caveat this? So we got a lot of questions on this yesterday as well, because it's essentially Jared heavily hints that it's going to be sold as a concept sale, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to nip this in the butt straight away. They have literally stated multiple times now for a long, long time the biggest ship that a player ever buy is the Javelin. I think he misspoke when he said to sell it, even implied to sell this thing. I think it'll be up like the Bengal. It'll be a ship that you can build or get in game. I don't think they'll ever sell it. And if they do, I think there'll be a lot of blowback from Javelin owners because let's be honest, the people that brought the Javelin are the people that are the market target audience for this if they did sell it. And they would be rather pissed that you essentially misled them.
There is a loophole. There's a loophole.
Please. I will happily hear any loophole. Go ahead.
They sell the battle cruiser as a blueprint. So you get access to the blueprint over having to find it.
But technically, that's what the Javelin was. It was just the hull, remember? And then they changed it.
But in this case, it's not just the hull. It's literally just the plans for building it on your own. So you'll still need to build it on your own, but you can pay.
So you're removing the rep grind, but you still got to build it.
Yeah, you still got to build it. You still got to find the facilities for it. You still have to get all the resources for it. So that way they
can. Are you saying that to keep the cost down?
The cost down, and also to
and they sell it for less than the Javelin, like say $2,000 instead of $3,000. That I could probably swing.
Yeah, and I could see them do that long term as well as a way of trying to bring down the cost.
Well, it does bypass it's not the most expensive ship. So all right, I'll give you that, but that's all you're fucking getting.
Yeah, that's the only way I could see it happening. Because that's when people were talking to me about it last time. I was like, I don't see them selling it because it's like the Javelin was the most expensive, and even CIG back then when they're talking about it were like scratching their heads, being like, how can we make this fun? How can we make a ship that's going to require at least 60 people be fun? It's not.
And
to be clear, addressing some people in chat, that is not selling it. That is selling the plans. That is very, very, very different.
Yeah, because you don't get access to it right away. You still need all the other facilities to build it and the time, but you just access it. So
you would literally need a space station to build it.
Yeah.
That's not. Hey, I'm a single player and I'm building a freaking battlecruiser. That's an org level event.
Well,
That and that other and that
they
means an
did
org
say
that would
that
probably want to purchase that plan.
Go ahead, Grim.
they did say that it brings something new that is not really in any other capital ship, which is kind of interesting because when you think battlecruiser, you just sort of think, oh, a big ship with even bigger guns. It's just going to be have size 20s on it, and it's going to be the big giant ship with big guns, couple landing pads, etc.
Mm,
But the fact that they sort of mentioned that it's bringing something to the table that no other capital ship has done before, and John Crew even
mm,
kind of, I forget his exact words, but said so. It's kind of neat. I almost wonder if it does have some sort of unique thing, like okay, it's more tied to blueprints and you purchasing that, so something a little different, or
mm,
perhaps maybe it is a ship that does more directly tie into space stations, right? Or massive shipyards or something, so like through fabrication or whatever, which again goes back to the blueprint thing. So
d-
I think there's something unique there with the battle cruiser, even if it is sold as a concept that goes beyond just like a typical ship sale. What that is remains to be
do
seen, obviously.
do CIG want the blowback for selling a 5K ship? No.
No. They're,
Right.
No,
they'll-
I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head that they have to kind of go cheaper. It's the only thing I
Yeah.
can think of.
Well, yeah, and the thinking there would that there's a pretty big gulf, just so everyone knows, between the Javelin and the Bengal in terms of
Agreed.
size. It's about 480 for the Javelin, and I think the Bengal's like 990 or something like
Pegasus,
that. Yeah,
Pegasus fits the bill in the
yeah,
middle there as well.
something like that. So we're kind of missing that ship there in the middle
Mhm.
of that. So if you were to extrapolate that, you're talking about a ship somewhere in like 650-meter range. Um, it that, and if you've looked at how they price certain capitals and how those prices have jumped in regards to the Idris, you're talking about a ship that's pretty much what you said. Excuse, like 5K. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Especially
yeah.
considering that the Javelin will more than likely go up in price when it goes
Mm,
flight ready,
Mhm.
which could be as soon
yeah.
as late next
And
year.
I'm going to be
Yeah,
honest, 2K for an entire org to purchase a plan. I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about the time investment in that, that's actually kind of fucking cheap.
Yeah.
If you're pulling 20 people together to buy that, that's $100 each. That's actually I can actually entertain that as an idea for an org to
yeah.
buy.
The real
Um,
question is why
yeah, it's
and
crazy
what
to
would
think
you
of it
use
that
this
way.
ship
Yeah,
for?
yeah, yeah.
I,
Well,
Station
that's
warfare is all I can
yeah.
think.
I mean,
Station warfare.
Luna's bringing up if I buy something, if I've been sold something, you can't buy a car kit where parts are delivered. You can actually literally buy car kits, which are just kits. There's no engine,
mm,
there's nothing in there, and there are like
Well,
exterior panels, stuff like that. So like you can buy that are not cars, but
that's an interesting point. Have they talked about? I can't remember in any of the blueprint discussions. Have they talked about blueprints ever being considered to be sold on the pledge store?
they've never talked about it explicitly, but they've never
Okay.
discounted it. It's one of those, they never
Yeah.
either.
explicitly said
Yeah.
no. So
Gotcha. Okay.
like
Mm,
this is the only way I could see them going around this.
okay.
And I see this, well, because the problem I have with the battle cruiser fundamentally is what the hell is it going to do? As you all said, there's no purpose for it. It's like it makes sense in terms of like Squadron 42 or something like that. What like of course the military needs a battle cruiser. What does a player need? Why does a player need a battle cruiser?
I can only think instance station warfare, but instanced, like
Yeah,
where it's, siloed off, which we know they are going to do, but that's the only place I can see it happening.
Mm.
yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
This came
I'll
up on
allow
the
it.
thank you. Appreciate it very much. This came up in the live stream yesterday, but I'd like to get Paul's response to this because I think he's got lore insight. Someone brought up the idea of a Titan suit that was a transformer. So
Yeah.
think of like a Titan suit that turned into a ship.
Yeah.
What manufacturer would that be? And could you see it happening? And what do you gain out of it? Because there's a lot of extra work to do there, obviously. But yeah, that would be cool.
First off, it'll never happen because Chris Roberts hates mechs, and what they're asking for is a Veritech fighter. Is what they're asking for
Mm.
But the Titan suit in the game.
Because what they're asking for is the Macross, aka what was it called?
Oh, you mean like a Gundam mech. He has
Yes,
Gundam
basically.
mech. Right,
It's the Veritech fighters, which because like in Macross, their mechs would transform into F-15s basically. And
I'm also thinking about something like from StarCraft, where I can't remember what unit was
yeah,
called.
which is also
But it was
inspired by
flying.
Macross. Yeah, it was the Valkyrie or the Vulture or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. The Valkyrie, I think, is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was an anti-air unit, and then when it landed, it was a ground unit and an anti-air unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like, and I've heard people discuss this. Chris Roberts doesn't like mechs. He likes power suits and power loaders like aliens and stuff like that, but he doesn't like the side of like Gundam thing. And to be quite clear, I have two people here who look at a lot of ship stuff. The size that Titan suit would have to be to have quantum drive is huge. It would have to be at least the size of an arrow. And an arrow is and if it was untransformed, it would have to be the height of an arrow. So that would make it a proper mech, like several meters.
Definitely, wouldn't be able to go inside and stuff.
Yeah,
like that, like other mechs.
So, like that would be far too big for Chris Roberts' favor. So, but if it was going to be made, it would be made by Aegis.
What about a Titan suit that may be transformed into wheels? So like, like a Transformer, one of the ones that turned into the bike, the girl one that turned into the bike. So something like that. So maybe it does wheels, but then transforms back and stands up or something like that.
I could see some
just for movement, it transforms.
You would still need the size of a Nova, and a Nova standing up is a proper mech. And I could see them, but again, you have to get around that Chris Roberts, for whatever reason, has a phobia of mecha. He does not like mecha. He does not like the aesthetics. He doesn't like the style of it. He prefers, if anything.
So he's never going on a pilgrimage. Okay. Good,
yeah. But yeah. No, but he does not like the mech aesthetic, especially the 80s mech aesthetic. He loves aliens and Battlestar Galactica, and so the closest thing we get is the power suit because of aliens, because of the power loader from Aliens. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. As much as I would love it, I don't think it's going to happen because it doesn't really work in terms of like the narrative as it stands now. I would still argue that big, tall mechs can be part of the narrative because there's this gigantic unit, which is possibly one of the largest parts of the armed forces of the UEE, called the UEE Army, that has nothing. It has hand-me-downs from every other department, but it doesn't have its own unique weaponry. So
I don't know if I'm going to step on a bomb here, but I'm going to say it. Can you imagine Voltron in the game?
Yeah, of course. Chris, hold on, I'm going to do this so chat can see it, so everyone see it. This is literally my background.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I sorry for the dog. I may or may not be working on a movie called.
That's why I said I didn't.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to say anything because I knew you were. But they also did a Fortnite Lego recently based on Voltron as well.
Yeah.
But like, can you imagine the actual like 5 people working together in a Titan suit? That would be mad.
Yeah.
Like the gameplay. There could
I
be
might,
kind of interesting.
It's been a while since I played it, so I might be misremembering, but I believe the Walker mech in Battlefield 2142 had spot for 3 people. So I know it had a main infantry cannon.
It had a chin gun.
Then had the
had the main gun.
Yeah, and had the
anti-air one. Yeah.
So it was like a 3-person.
When Starjump Fleet Viewer first released, CIG sent us some ships to do sort of like a contest to sort of reward, or to sort of celebrate the release of it. And I would say 70 to 80% of the submissions were people making giant robots out of the ships. So, it's people would definitely be interested in it. I don't know how
there is a large crossover of both Gundam and BattleTech fans, and when you have Sean fucking Tracy, who is probably the only person who has more like visibility in the BattleTech community and MechWarrior community than than just like No Guts No Galaxy currently, because he single-handedly saved MechWarrior when nobody was making MechWarrior games by making MechWarrior Living Legends with his sort of combined arms. It was good talking about that at Quantum Vegas too. He's
Yeah.
very cool about that.
Yeah.
You
Really
know, so
awesome guy, by the way.
yeah, he's really
You know what I
good.
just thought of?
So like, yeah, of course you're gonna have fans who of those series who come to Star Citizen and be like, give us big stompy mechs, please. So
When they get around to doing artillery, the siege tank from StarCraft.
yeah,
Absolutely, we want that in game.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's my favorite unit in probably StarCraft, by the way. The siege tank.
yeah,
Just visually striking. Yeah.
I would still argue, because this is love letter to 80s fiction. I would love big stomping mechs as ground vehicles. It would add so much more to the scale.
Cool.
It would add so much to the scale of the universe. It would scare the living heck out of everybody. They'd be a little off, but it's like, yeah, you can make it Star Citizen style, you know.
You've also got that David versus Goliath aspect too. Like, can you get some troops that can get in there and like really fuck with the
and have the multi-crew where you have like a driver.
My left leg is not moving.
Yeah, you've got a driver and you've got people who operate the guns and you have an engineer who's running around trying to fix things. You know, just a multi-crew ship.
No, not even that.
Legs.
It's just on MFDs because they're inside the chest.
Yeah.
And I feel like there would be a lot of lore reason for it too, just because, and obviously, Paul, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but from someone who's naive about a lot of the in-depth lore, there still seems to be this overarching sort of technology race amongst all the sort of companies that are out there within the Star System. So I could see someone like trying to create new technology like that to, for whatever reason, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I could see it just sort of fitting in with everything. I don't know which manufacturer would be the best people to do that, but there's ample room, I think, for CIG to explore that if they wanted to. And Star Citizen just has so much of pop culture, sci-fi nerddom kind of sprinkled throughout it. It's like, it fit. They could make it fit.
Well, also as C Daddy says, C Daddy's reference, it can be defeated by a speeder with a tow cable. But that's what another inspiration for Star Citizen is Star Wars, and they got the chicken walkers and the AT-ATs. Like, Chris, it's already there. Walkers are a thing. So
we did this a lot when we talked about the Titan suits too. Like, can you imagine the Cygnus Miner turning that into a spider Titan-sized like
it's huge
thing? You've seen those games where they have like cat-like robots. So imagine you're lying down in the Titan suit and it's like an actual cat. And,
like an animal, like a four-legged.
And there could be some interesting places to use that. Think about places that have like some of the recent in-game events we've had where like the storms are going on, so your ships are disabled and you can't fly them. But yet at the same time, maybe it's marshy and there's a lot of water on the ground, so you need something that can just sort of crawl over them. I think there's some use cases for sure.
A gorilla mech that swings through the trees in the swamp.
Well, also it gives CIG the ability to build giant kaijus that you can fight. You already have a kaiju with the Apex there. Now I can get into a mech and punch a kaiju. Come on, it's just there's the cool factor in there too. They'll never release this game.
As long as there are gameplay reasons and they tie in with each other, I can see that they do need restrictions. I get that. But if they can somehow compact all those mechs into Titan suit level stuff, I'm all for it.
Or even if we don't get them, maybe the Vandul is working on something and we'll have to fight against it.
A giant Vandul mech fight. I love that. Yeah. All right, moving on to the next question. Should characters automatically put on a helmet if they have one available in their inventory and start suffocating? No, I disagree. If you forget to put your helmet on, you die.
Well, yeah, and if you've been following along with the Evo tests, it looks like they've added, helmets are no longer boxes. So then apparently there's animations now that put them on your hip and or your back. So maybe CIG's thinking about like hotkey quick, helmet switches and stuff at the very least. So
I think it would be if you were living in an intelligent society with the AI and think about your Mobiglass would go, warning, you do not have a helmet, you're about to go through an airlock. Something very simple like an audio cue like that is I think all it needs.
Or just a reminder to put your helmet on,
Even when you get a notification on your Mobiglass or whatever, like that's going to be a thing. So just a notification that goes, but it's also got an audible warning that plays. If you check your notifications, says you've got your helmet off, you're going through an airlock. Yeah.
or even just notifications like, be sure to check your seals and your to make sure
Mm.
you're before so that way it's like it adds a little bit more immersion. You have like a little voice that goes
Human,
out
we
there,
have
and then it also makes you go, wait, do I have my helmet on? Oh shit, I don't have my helmet on, and put it on.
human. We have detected your oxygen level is dropping. Are you breathing?
Yeah. Jin said this is question 3. This is actually question like 14 because like there were legitimately 5 questions on the battle cruiser and 3 questions on the on modularity alone. So
Yeah. We're
we
answering
could
them in bulk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another question on the battle cruiser. Um okay, do you think the medium cargo ships will have a place in the verse since the meta is shifting towards large cargo grids? Grim?
Read that one more time.
Do you
Make sure I
think
heard it right.
do you think medium cargo ships will have a place in the verse since the meta is shifting towards larger cargo ships?
Hmm. I think they will. I think there's still going to be a lot of use cases to just move a few things here and there, especially if, for example, again, this is why I'm looking forward to base building because it's going to start to show me the game I'm going to be playing because right now that game doesn't exist. So, for example, if on the surface of a planet or something, I have a base over here, and then, 10 miles away, I have another base. I just want to shuttle some stuff. Maybe I don't have the elevator daisy chain set up or whatever yet. I can see just small little transport ships, being super useful for that. You're not going to want to pull out the whole sea every time you want to do that. I still think they're going to have a place. It's just maybe not. Maybe those aren't.
There's
That's
so
not where you
much
go to make money anymore. I mean, I could see the large cargo grids being where you go to make the career work. But just for logistic purposes, you're still going to need those smaller cargo ships.
so so much gameplay we don't have, like transient jump points. You're not going to be able to pull out a sea and go through like some of those smaller jump points, but you can take a raft and go through multiple times and take that shortcut.
Yeah.
If you're smuggling, well, Paul can talk about this.
Yeah,
He's
size.
Yeah.
massively in smuggling. It is so much easier to cut a big amount of cargo up into small little trips than take all in one big run,
And
right? You
there's
can
gonna be a
kind of
lot
go
of
under the radar.
high
Yeah.
value, low volume cargo,
Yep.
Not
So
not only that, but bigger cargo grids mean bigger ships generally. We don't even have engineering and resource management yet. Bigger ships are going to be more complicated to deal with.
Yep.
They're even though you can solo them now, they're going to require
More
people
crew.
eventually. So at some point, again, that medium ship, if you're the single pilot or you're just out there with a friend, it's going to make a lot more sense to go that route.
Look at the whole series as a whole. It's even designed that kind of shows you how it works. You know, your D's and
Yeah,
E's are going multiple system deliveries. Your whole C is internal within the system, but it's not designed to go down a planet at all. And the whole B is designed to distribute
yeah.
everything from the space station around said planet.
yeah,
Gives you
It
the
kills everything.
idea of the
They all
progression.
have exactly. You
Yeah,
know, you get in your whole A, you do your little trips up to the station to work up enough next money to get into a B or a C, and then you just go a scale up. And that's just in the whole series alone.
yeah. And I think that can be extrapolated though to every other gameplay loop because you could
Agreed.
easily say, well, why should you have a vulture if you own a reclaimer? There's reasons for sure. I mean, there's
Not
definitely
to
reasons that you want to go out and just your vulture
not,
versus
not
the
to not
reclaimer.
to pick, not to pick on this person, but by their very logic, then why does starter ships even exist? Because you
yeah,
need progression.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
also not even
It's
just like the argument I would make is that 315p is the best smuggler that's there because it's
Agreed.
small, it has nice cargo. So, but this
Quick.
315p is not going to be the best smuggler ship ever. It'll be one
yeah,
of the best because there's still the MSR,
Well,
and so there's
it's like what we've found with drop ships. Every ship is really good at one big thing that it does. So the 315p will be the very best at exactly what it does.
yeah. Sorry, you can say something, Grim?
No, I was just gonna say, we're missing so many systems. We don't even know the full cost of operation of ships yet. We don't have insurance. We don't have just a lot of other stuff that's going to be in there. So it's really hard. So I understand what the question is, especially in referencing the meta. But I just don't look at the metas now as really having any
Right now,
value
we've just got
whatsoever
boxes.
until the final game.
we don't even have the different types of cargo in yet. So we
Yeah.
know the 400i has a temperature controlled area. So you're probably going to have volatile cargo in, and we've seen this in events and stuff, right? We know that you're
Yeah.
going to have liquids, solids, and gases and all that. We're
Yeah.
so infancy, it's not
And
funny.
and
Yeah.
sometimes it just comes down to pure player of like what the experience they're wanting. There's going to be days. Like, see, I love doing cargo, but there are
Mhm.
days literally where I know I just have enough time to grab the whole A, throw a box or two on, and make a run. I don't have time to pull out my whole C. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's just times for that. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I do think there's
And
a
and by
strong yeah.
let's look at the recent event. It wasn't very good to use a Hercules, and a lot of people had Hercules, but most people went and rented rafts because it was just far more convenient to use the raft for that specific. It depends on the mission you're doing too.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
All right. The last question we have for today, because we've now been doing this for like 3.5 hours. With
I'm
the,
good for it. Look, it's 9 a.m. I'm good for another 9 hours. We're
I
good
don't want
now.
to. I've got food I need to get to and
No, no,
everything.
no, no, no. We're not leaving until you're as tired as I am when I wake up.
I'm already that tired. I've been up since 6 a.m. myself. So,
No, I'm teasing
um,
you. That's fine.
the last question is, what are the captain's opinions on the direction of Kruger will go for their next ship? I'll start with you on
Good
I would
question.
X.
no. I want you to go first.
Me?
Yeah, because of the law thing.
Oh,
Please.
I have three possibilities. One is that they're going to take the Wolf and they're just going to scale it. So we'll have like a light version, a
So
medium,
what
and a
they
heavy
already did with the
version.
Merlin.
What they did with the Merlin, but a little bit
Yeah.
like a little bit bigger. Because they've been doing a lot of kit bashes recently, where they just take a lot of like basically take the outline of a ship they already have and then just sort of work with the assets they have.
Mhm.
But if they're going to be building more Kruger stuff, they're going to be building kits. So I think the likelihood of having a medium or heavy fighter, which is like the dire wolf. So you have the L
I
and then the dire wolf.
I want to talk about the names too, because me and Agad went down the rabbit hole of historic warplanes
Yeah.
before we even saw it in the Q&A, and they are literally naming things off the very aeroplanes. And one of the most popular German ones, because the German one, there's a German Wolf one, and we think that's where the name came from. But there's also an L-21 that references back to the Spitfire, which is also the skin that appeared on the wall.
Yeah.
So basically connecting a lot of dots, like we've done a lot today. I think they might take the German one, and I can't remember. It's like a Misha Smith or something like that, but it basically translates to knife maker or knife crafter. I think they may just shorten it to the knife.
And
That's
then
what I think they'll call it.
if they do that, then they'll
and then chuck a number in front of it. Yeah.
Well, you also have the Mosquito, which is a pretty famous night fighter, heavy night fighter from World War II. If they're going to do that same sort of German name, but with sort of German design, but a lot of aesthetics
Kruger,
from.
Alga brought this up, but Kruger Intergalactic, the word intergalactic is even in German spelling, apparently. We don't spell it like that in English, according to Alga, but yeah.
But also L stands for light, P stands for like patrol or something like that. So I could see, we'll see how that goes. But I also
so like an M99 or medium,
or
medium.
H something something. You know, it depends on what it is. You know,
Okay.
the Mosquito was a light bomber that I believe was turned into a night fighter, if I believe so. So, similar to the.
So what I'm hearing is they're very high end military. So I was on point with that. They're high end military.
They're military, but they're civilian military. So it's kind of like militia, you know.
And the only other one we have is racing. So do you think they probably share the racing with Origin, but they really separate out into the military?
Yeah.
And is there any others that you would see creeping in there?
I could see. Well, it's that, and then I also see a medium utility ship, something along the lines of the
Kruger Street Sweeper.
Well, something along the lines of the Spirit
what,
or the Freelancer or that sort of thing. So we don't have a lot of utility specifically in that range. We have 3 ships. We have
what's a high end utility that you see? So you mean like a transporter, like a human transporter,
like a 400i, but actually holds cargo. So it's like, but it's designed for speed. So, like, think about a sleeker version of the Spirit.
Data
Um,
running?
could have data running, but it's mostly like a utility, so it could have some different variants, like the Freelancer, like the Spirit,
Smug
like the
smuggling?
Cutlass, that kind of thing.
Is smuggling
Yeah.
another one, or am I? No.
It could be, but I'm basing it
Okay.
off of the Queen Amidala cruiser that you in episode
Yeah.
1, which is
Oh,
To
good point.
me,
yeah.
to me, it does make the most sense for them. Not speculating on role, but just it makes the most sense for them if they're going to build out the Kruger line. The next step would be that medium
Yeah.
ship that has multiple variants.
Yeah.
Your Cutlass Black, your Zeus or whatever, but the Kruger version of that.
You
Yeah,
you guys want interior? I want an interior.
That's what the medium would
yeah,
be. Would be
Yeah.
interior.
yeah,
I do
yeah.
think
Minimal, to a certain point. Like something smaller still, like
I think
Cutlass
that
Freelancer says.
I think they
So
still
my
go with trying to use what they have with the Wolf and scale it so they can do a heavier version of the ship they have. So
my brain went slightly different. I find them very James Bondy.
Mhm.
So my hope was like something that possibly went into e-warfare
I can see that.
or gadget based. Again, another ship that does
Yeah,
the different ammunition types or something like that. That's in a
see
fighter. So
that.
take the Perseus and put it down into a fighter.
Well, here's the other thing. Kruger is a parts manufacturer. That's their main spiel. So if they had a medium ship,
Repair?
I could see a medium repair or fabricator ship
The
with
high-end roadside assist vehicle,
yeah,
only for Bentleys and BMWs near you.
but also something like a ship that
Call it
you
the Jeeves. The Jeeves.
but you can see it as something like a
Butler. Cricket butler.
a ship you would fly around that would build like small parts, like components and stuff like that you could use or
Yeah.
repair things. So
Hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
you'd,
that
you'd,
really
you'd
does.
pair it you'd pair it with like the smaller, like a BLD. You'd pair it with a BLD, and the BLD would build the
Oh,
things, and then it would build like the
could
parts for the BLD.
could
So
Would you?
could they be a high-end base builder? So it's designed to build those more luxury
I
apartments
mean,
and
that would be
shit.
like higher end. That'd be like a large
That
ship.
would be Origin.
But I
Shouldn't that
do
would be Origin though?
I do
Yeah,
think
yeah. I mean physically larger, but I'm just wondering
no,
where I'm
Origin
sitting is
isn't a builder. They're a like they tune engines is they're probably the biggest thing. But if they're gonna be a build, it would be Kruger, because Kruger is
So it
literally a
seems
parts manufacturer. Go
I'm
ahead,
trying
Greg.
to get their I'm trying to get their wheelhouse. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Graham.
so it seems like there's a lot of, from what you are saying, it sounds like with the racing and the high end military, although I know this is not military, but it seems like there's a lot of parallels to Mirai,
Yes,
where it's like high performance racing and combat
futuristic and
applications.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd give you that. Yeah,
Where
like
is
minus
Mirai
the
maybe is centered a little bit more around thruster technology. Kruger leans a little bit
aliens.
more into like weaponry, sort of focus in terms of their high technology.
yeah. That's I
So
mean,
wouldn't so
Yeah.
Mirai would probably be more facing on the racing, where these guys are facing more on the weapons.
yeah.
Hmm.
You got to remember
Yeah.
that Kruger is one of the few parts manufacturers out there. As far as I can find, there are two major parts manufacturers in the UAE. One is Kruger, and the other is Bearing. So
They
Krug,
partner with Bearing too. They
they have
mentioned that in the
they've have
Q&A.
partnered with Bearing, or
Mm.
they may have mentioned something like that. But basically, Bearing and Kruger are, if they're on the same level as Bearing, Bearing is like General Electric. So Kruger is something like the Bosch Group in Europe. Like we're
Hmm.
talking huge company. They are massive. Like a lot of parts that go into making RSI ships. So like, and I'm not talking like the components. I'm talking about like the wiring inside the RSI ships, the fuses, the resistors, like the things that actually build that make the ship work are built
Like
by Kruger.
Samsung making screens for Apple.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and that's one of the reasons why Kruger, when Kruger was like, we built this tiny little ship for your constellation, would you take it? RSI was like, yes, because they're their biggest part manufacturer. So it's like, if we say no, we could lose our biggest part manufacturer, and we don't have anyone to replace them. So
Yeah.
Would you see them building a ship that also uses the Merlin?
yeah, for sure, I could see that happening. But I think this
Mhm.
progression is maybe tuning a little bit of the heavy fighter range or medium to heavy fighter range, and then a medium ship, because that's the classic. that builds out more kits that they can use to build heavier ships if they want to. But they get to that medium ship and they pause and they go, do we want to do more? Rather than like tripling down and being like, we got a whole range of ships we want to do. It's just like, hey, let's play with it and see what we got. So
do you think that they're going to kind of stop and this is going to be kind of a manufacturer they build out over the life of the game, or do you think they just what do you think the take is though?
I think they do it until they're bored. I mean, look at Crusader. Like they got bored of Crusaders. They stopped making Crusader ships. So I think it's whatever
It's a creative run. Okay.
Yeah, it may determine to a little bit how well the Wolf did, how well it sold. And what the traction was on it.
Well, when we talked to Ben and John, they weren't really into Kruger last year's system, and something's changed because he said he was really happy with how it turned out. Because I remember Algrid saying Benoit was really into the Kruger as well, and I don't know if this will ever come out in time, but I got a sneaky suspicion Benoit really pushed that Wolf.
Probably.
Yeah, and I reckon as it was developed, Ben fell in love with Kruger.
I wonder what ship team made it. That'd be actually an interesting question. Like, was it the Montreal team or the UK team? I'm not sure.
God, I wish I could sit down like once a year with Ben and John and just
North
like
American team.
Give me the answers. But I live on the other side of the world, so I can't go around to their house.
Didn't they do the interviews? When they do the interviews, they usually interview the people who built it. I think it was the Montreal team.
I don't need to interview them. I've proved that. Like, I just need to sit down and have lunch with them.
No, I'm saying.
I remember everything they told me.
I mean, in the Wolf video,
I'm in the Wolf video
behind the ships.
Yeah, behind the ship video, they usually interview because
you're right.
Grim was asking who built which team built it. I think it's Montreal. I think it's which would also make sense if Benoit was the one pushing for Kruger. He would be the one who we take this.
That said, there was a lot of people sitting there that were in the Manchester studio because that ship is in Manchester. They were all filmed on the set, remember?
Yeah, but they come over. They have people come over for meetings and stuff. So
not as much as you think. Only the leads come over.
Oh, okay. It could be Manchester. We do know now, based off of the things they've released like last week, that something as of 2024, 600 to 700 of the 1,000+ employees that work at CIG work in Manchester. So it is the largest studio they have. I mean, it's huge. I like to give everyone context. I've worked in pretty big schools that have 2,000, 3,000 students in it, and the max our full staff was about 150.
It's a pretty big building. Yeah. Like I've been in there and I've seen it, and it was like 4 stories tall at least.
Yeah. And we know they have probably around 1,000 employees, so it's important to note that more than 2/3 of the staff is just in Manchester, which means that something like 300 people are spread out amongst LA, or not LA anymore, Austin, Montreal, and Frankfurt. So, and I know Austin's big. Austin's still got probably go to 100 people there. So. What do you think, X? What do you think is going to come next with the Kruger? Because Grim and I said,
I think it's a very lore-based.
I'm
having a brain fart on the term speculation.
It is, but you also,
that's why I wanted you to go first.
As you know, lore doesn't mean shit. when they want to do something, they do stuff. So.
When you don't have a lot to grasp with, I often turn to lore because it'll at least point you in, it'll narrow the field, as we always talk about, right? And so I'm still trying to get a hang on what
they are.
Kruger actually is, right? Yeah. And it's kind of like you said, they are very similar to, I guess Mirai is also a high-end manufacturer tech-wise as well. So we've technically got 3 in that space. So I'm trying to nut out where their area is, and I think it's going to be that military skew, because I start to think base building, and I actually lean more towards MISC because I also think they're high tech.
The base building stuff though may be tied to blueprints. Like, I wonder if you'll be able to order,
But my point is, I'm just trying to figure out where they are, and that makes it really difficult for me. I think the racing variant of the Wolf, as an example, is almost a given at this point. It just
Yeah,
seems like
yeah.
really super obvious to me.
Yeah.
The thing almost like within the first day, I saw heaps of people trying to fly it like it was a racer.
Mhm.
People want this thing; they're going to make one.
Yeah,
You know, and it'll either be a variant or whatever. But that's besides the point. The point I'm trying to get to is it's very hard for me to articulate with so few ships what the direction is, especially when half of those literally line up exactly with Origin. So what now makes it not Origin? And they're the questions I'm asking myself, and that's why I wanted you to go first. So
Okay.
you've shared your thoughts, and I agree with most of them. I can kind of see where they're going there. The only one I kind of hope they go into is the James Bond. You know, you like when I said it to Algred, I said, you imagine the James Bond vehicle where the headlights turn up and the guns come out.
Mhm.
I cannot look at the Wolf and not see that.
That is what kind of what it is. And
Yeah.
you saying a gadget makes sense to me because that is Kruger's a parts manufacturer. The joke in the
So
lore is they only made parts, and then they're sitting down in a board meeting, and one of the board members made a joke. We literally produce every part of a gun. We just don't make the gun. And he thought it was a joke, and none of the board members thought it was a joke. They all were like, we should make a gun. And so they started using their parts to make a gun, and that's sort of how they got around. So
can you imagine a heavy fighter by Kruger, but it's an e-warfare ship?
Yeah.
That I can
Right.
see. It
100%.
differentiates them from other people, but it's also this high end.
Yeah.
So it makes it James Bondy, and I think that's kind of cool.
And
That's
they
another
almost certainly
honest.
make all the parts that go into the Vanguard. So
Yeah.
Well,
Or
it's not sci-fi, but like let's be honest, it's another thing that like I'm a James Bond fan.
it
I mean,
fits the
you guys-
retrofuturism of the style
yeah.
too. So
Another technology that factors into sort of high-tech military, because there's lots of militaries out there, but not all militaries have this, which is stealth technology. So I think anything stealth related would fit Kruger
goes
really
into
well.
racing, goes
Uh,
close with racing too. Yeah, I'll give you that.
exactly. Yeah,
100%.
stealth is
Yeah.
always considered like a high-tech thing for
I
military
think,
stuff.
well, again, that cuts into the James Bond thing: spy,
Yeah.
espionage, stealth. Like, no, I don't disagree with any of that. That all makes sense to me.
Yeah, but I would
You know,
love to see them lean into that for like weird niches though. So like we have stealth combat ships and stuff like that. I would love to
Yeah.
see like maybe there's like
stealth
a
scouting.
smaller stealth mine layer that's meant to slip in, drop, and leave. You know what I mean? Just weird combinations can be kind of interesting. So
yeah, I mean, I was thinking like stealth scout. So it goes in stealthy,
Sure.
and scans everything,
Yeah.
and leaves. You know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
do we see our first ship that is like, you know, in James Bond where there's that car that he
turns into a boat,
just drives straight into the water? Yeah. So it's a plane that becomes a submarine.
I can see something like that. But
So that's your swamp thing you were talking about. It just straight
Yeah.
into the water.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, I think we had a
it has a rocket pack that you
eject and you can
and
like fly around in. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it comes in the I can see that in a heartbeat.
Execute just wants a ship where he can bring beautiful women back to and make love to them.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah, those alien women just out of Star Trek. Make out with the what's the green ones? The Eldarians, whatever they're called. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us. Thank you for executing Star Jump for this special triple episode. This is going to be an interesting one to release. Thank you for coming in and talking. It's always good to talk ships. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please leave a like the video, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below on anything we talked about. It's always good to hear that. And join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live, or no, youtube.com/@the-captain's-table podcast on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Love to have you join us. While you're here, check out StarJump_Grim on Twitch, StarJump on YouTube, and of course, StarJump Fleet Viewer.
Got it. Yep.
So
hang on that link. Yeah.
And then
just Inforunners. We're done.
Yeah. Inforunners.
So, look, I hope it was pretty well behaved considering how delirious I was
at
this point. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. And like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black.